Hello and welcome back to the Innings Break Podcast. We have returned from the dead and we're raring to go. But firstly, some apologies. We've all been coincidentally very busy. COVID has obviously disrupted a lot of things, and we've all had a lot going on with various job movements, location movements, and stuff like that. But we're all back now, and there's so much to talk about. So, firstly, thank you so much for your patience. Really appreciate all of you. We really do want to keep this Reddit cricket podcast going. It's something which we love to do in our spare time, and we love to speak to you guys about it. So as always, please join our Discord. Please reach out to us, and you know what, it'll be a pleasure to have you on at some point. Thank you for tuning into this episode. And this episode, first of all, we're going to be discussing this amazing IPL that we've had so far. Then we're going to be moving on to some other topics and maybe have a little cheeky view of the India Australia series, which is coming up, which we're all very excited for. But before I start, let me hand over to my good friend, Mr. Wicketkeeper, who's joining me today along with Angry Letters. And he has a nice little message for a couple of us, a couple of you guys who've been wanting us to continue.
Absolutely. I just want to thank everybody who reached out to us when we were kind of slacking and asking us to drop new episode. And again, as Rav said, um, we are sorry. That we did not produce enough material for you guys to latch on, and we probably have lost a lot of our listeners. But there were few folks who reached out to us. I want to give a shout out to YVTK, who reached to our Discord server after we have not dropped an episode for a very, very long time and asking us, hey, IPL is happening. It's pretty good things happening there. Why don't you do it on IPL? So thank you. This one is for you. You were at least my motivation to come back and start this podcasting all over again. Thank you for keeping us alive and thank you for believing in us.
Yep, indeed. I second that, and I'm sure so does Mr. Angry Lettuce. But let's move on to our first topic of the revival show, and there'll be plenty more to come, don't worry. The IPL. So let's talk about it. Mumbai Indians, huh? What do you think, Mr. Wicketkeeper?
Wow, Mumbai Indians have done it on an even year that nobody have thought. But this is 2020, so everything is possible, right? Everything is happening unusual in this year. So we have another champion, and well, not another champion, like same champion in another year, and they are 5-8, and obviously they are creating dynasty here, a championship dynasty. They have dethroned Chennai Super Kings as the hot favorites as always. And it's something special. Like people are talking about how consistently they've been playing this year. They've been playing like champions since day one, but they have everybody contributing this year. They did not play it like a team which look, oh, what's going to happen? Will we fall from our throne? Where will we go? They've been on top throughout the series and then they regained the title. And I personally feel this time it was nothing that their stars did it. It was a team combination. It was a team contribution. Ishan Kishan contributed. He has been struggling from last few series, last few IPLs, but he stepped up and he did it. Quinton de Kock, he's just consistently being a great opener. Even if Rohit Sharma is having his days, bad days, Quinton de Kock is supporting it, giving those consistent 20, 30 and good start at least for them. And again, the bowling unit, I think that's been the charm as a champion team. Their batting is good, but their bowling is excellent. And as they say, like bowlers wins you matches, like they restrict or they take all the wickets, right? Bumrah always a champion. He had few matches having some struggles, but they did pretty well. And
Yeah, he stood up. He stood up when
right,
it
right.
counted.
And Surya Kumar Yadav, like then everybody been talking about him. Like the uncapped players, what people were talking, they contributed and they're knocking on the door. Like let us be the
Yeah,
part of main team. So pretty great
yeah,
job, Mumbai. Like I don't have any particular team favorites. Start of every IPL, I feel like okay, on paper, who should I support? And this year I was supporting Mumbai Indians because they were champions last year. They did pretty good. I was like looking forward for Rohit's captaincy. I know everybody been talking about Rohit versus Virat on the white ball captaincy. And I was looking forward, like maybe this year he can give another reason for becoming a captain on white ball for India. So let's look forward to it.
I agree with everything you've said. Beastly team. I'd go as far as to say the best T20 domestic team in the world. I don't even think there's any competition, to be honest. That no one can compete. Like they were so far ahead of everyone else in every single department. With the batting, if Rohit was their ninth best player, can you imagine? So then they had
Yeah,
Ishan Kishan, they had Quinton de Kock stepping up, then the Surya Kumar Yadav, who is in general, I would say, like if you compare his stats to like a lot of the Indian national teams, he hasn't been exceptional domestically compared to some people, but he just stood up, really led from the front, was calm. And then their bowling, they had like young guns like Rahul Chahar. He was playing relatively well, consistently. And then, of course, you have Bumrah and Bolt. And then in the
both.
middle,
Yeah.
you have like, oh my God, Hardik Pandya. This is some of the best hitting I've seen from him. And Pollard was consistent throughout. They are the ultimate team, and they have a good mixture of youth and experience in their side, which I think goes really well. Whereas CSK is just, apart from Sam Curran, they're just all so old skeletons and led by a Dhoni who is, oh, I don't know who that man is. That is very, very disappointing. But yeah, by far and beyond the best IPL team I have seen for a very long time. And I also think that Delhi Capitals did so well as well, apart from the final, right?
They
Serious team.
they were on and
Serious
off.
team.
They were on
Yeah,
and
but
off.
like,
Like they
yeah. But with Rabada and Nokia, they played some incredible cricket. And then Shreyas Iyer, he stepped up in the beginning and then he's like form went away.
yeah.
Rishabh Pant had a horrible IPL. I think the Delhi Daredevils did really well throughout. Like they should be proud of themselves. I was rooting for them as underdogs, but yeah. Every other team, Kings 11, I thought showed so much promise. Kind of sad that they didn't do anything with it because, if you look at their team with KL Rahul, Chris Gale, some serious players in that team, right?
Yeah, they
But
were just flash, right? Like they just had a flash, played few games, great games, and then started losing, and then they started winning, and then they lost when it really mattered. So it was lots of up and down.
I agree with you. And then, for example, Rajasthan Royals were, I think they were too heavily reliant on a few players like Jofra and Tavatia. I think, is it Tavatia who plays? I think it was Tavatia
Yeah,
who plays.
Tewati.
Right. Like he's come good this year.
Oh, Jofra
Um,
was good. I mean, Jofra delivered. I think
yeah, very
he,
reliant.
yeah, he delivered. I think Smith did not deliver.
But he's not a good T20 player. I'm gonna say it. Stephen Smith is a very overrated white ball player. Fight me.
Really
He is. He's not a. He's a good player. He's not. He's like not in the top five. Not even in the top 10.
interesting. All right.
Same with Joe Root. What do you have to say about that, Mr. Angry Lettuce?
Well, Royals in general, they just no one really delivered, did they? Batting wise, Joffre was outstanding with the ball,
Yeah.
but batsman wise, Ben Stokes did.
Opening.
Ben Stokes turned up, at the end, but he had a shocker before his two
Are those
good
two good
innings.
innings enough to hail him the way that people have done? Like the consistency is lacking, right? Like we all know that on his day, he'll win you a game on his own with the battle ball.
Ben Stokes is a horribly overrated T20 player. He has
Right.
to open, but for England he doesn't, and hence his stats are terrible, and his bowling is even worse in T20. Like, he's great in every other format, but it's just not his strength is T20. Yes, his century was great, but it's not very helpful for England when we've got about 33 openers
Yep.
and no one for the middle order.
He
So
needs time. He
I'm
needs
not
time in
quite
the middle,
sure.
right?
I
So
know.
to get himself going.
Yeah, he takes 10 to get going. He's
Right.
like Dawud Malan for England. Takes 10 to get going, which is fine if you open, because you've got the power plays to play through. But if you're coming in at 5, 6, which is where Stokes bats for England in T20, you don't have that. You've maybe got 10
Yep.
balls to face totally. So
So should he open for England as well? What is your opinion?
Who are your top two openers for England?
I'd open with Joss Butler, who's averaging at 52 and striking at 155, I think he strikes at when he opens. And then my other opener would be Johnny Bairstow, who averages something like 30 and strikes at 160. So,
Yeah, I think Johnny Bairstow is a good idea.
No, I don't know, dude. He did so well. He wasn't even played this year. I don't know if he was injured, but
No, he was.
He made a 97 and then he dropped off a bit. He's been a bit in and out of
Yeah,
form
yeah.
this
I
year.
mean, when the days he were playing for Sunrise Hyderabad, he was smashing the ball. Like I was watching highlights for Sunrise Hyderabad, and like the way he was hitting the ball was sailing. Like he was giving David Warner good
But he was
competition in
dropped.
hitting.
But he was dropped, dude. Right?
Yeah,
Yeah, he felt like he did for England throughout the summer. One day he is
right,
amazing, the next he's
Right.
rubbish. He's very inconsistent
right.
this year. Whilst normally he's consistently great, this year he's been very
I
up
mean,
and
like
down.
if he couldn't play ahead of like I don't know who it was for our
Saha
Saha for
came
Sunrisers,
in.
right? Saha was
Yeah,
incredible when he came back, right? Like Saha is like a 35-year-old wicketkeeper who's never come close to being consistent in the Indian ODIs. I don't even know if he has an ODI cap. He probably does. But yeah, so Saha was, I don't know. I would much rather, well, if I was from an England perspective, I agree with you, Joss Butler, but I would have Alex Hales. He's more frightening. I don't know. I think he's more destructive.
I would perhaps agree with you on Hales, but there's no way he's ever coming back.
well, did
So
Alex Hill?
he's over.
Yeah, I think he's on the tail end,
He
right?
also had a shocker blast.
He's on the very tail end.
What, age-wise?
No, I mean
No,
his
he's not
career
old. He's not
wise,
old.
his career. Like I don't see
He's 31, 32.
his played very good innings in last like 5 or 6 matches. I don't think so.
But he's not played international cricket because he was outed from the setup, right? I don't know what he was.
Yeah, he snorted cocaine.
Ah, okay.
And then he was caught twice, I think it was, with cocaine. And then apparently he's not a great bloke either.
Yeah, I
So I
definitely can see that. Very comes across. like
So
that.
and then he had a shocking T20 blast.
Right.
I think he averaged 12 or something like that. Nothing.
Hmm.
Then he got run out yesterday in the PSL
Yeah.
for not a lot. So I don't think Hales has pushed him. The other openers, you'd be looking at people like Dawud Malan, who's kind of nailed down his
Oh,
number 3
yeah,
spot,
Malan
given
is
he's number 1
great.
batsman in the world.
Consistent, but not explosive. That's what I get from Milan. Consistent, like.
He's averaging, I think his current strike rate for this year is 160.
Well, what do I know?
He takes ages to get going.
Right.
Ages and ages. Then once he's up and running, he's then putting people. I think he hit 26 off and over this year, something like
Right.
that.
Right.
So he chugs along, gets his 10 off 10, which is a meme, and then he goes crazy.
That's pretty good start to the IPL. The next topic we have on the agenda within the IPL is our beloved Royal Challengers Bangalore. Ah, yes. I'll let Mr. Lettuce kick off with this one.
For all that RCB has in following, in talent, and in what they've had, however many years the IPL's been going, RCB haven't learned nothing. They can't build a T20 team. Their captain has been captain for 8 years and they still haven't won it. The captain massively underperformed this year. Does anyone think that Kohli should be the T20 skipper over Rohit Sharma? And does anyone think that Kohli might just be a bit overrated in T20s?
I am 100% with you. I hate to speak ill of him, but he's a disgrace when it comes to T20, and even the ODI captaincy should be to Rohit Sharma. Like okay, look, let me put it this way: if I went for a job interview, right, and the role was a leadership role, and my role as a leader was to get everyone around me performing, and if I was Rohit Sharma and I was up against Virat Kohli, and Virat Kohli got the job instead of me, even though my credentials showed that I can lead a team over and over and over again to achieve and overachieve. And then there's Virat Kohli, who is, I don't know, maybe more attractive, better poster boy, a better brand. That would infuriate me. There is no reason on this planet why Virat Kohli should be the ODI captain or the T20 captain over Rohit Sharma. In the beginning, fair enough. We were going to try him out after Dhoni. He was the obvious choice, even though it was kind of early days. But after 5 or 6 years, I don't know how long, he's been Indian captain since 2015 or 16. I don't remember. Or was it 14? I don't know. But he's been Indian captain for a while. He's achieved nothing. He's lost in finals, semi-finals, whereas Rohit Sharma has been outstanding. He's been outstanding, dude. I don't know why the loyalty there is very upsetting. I know in a couple of the threads I read, people were saying even Sachin wouldn't have been given this much loyalty. Right? Even Sachin. So why is it? Is his brand worth that much to India that we can't replace him? I don't know. That's a very emotional topic.
I kind of agree with you. Yeah, we've been giving him too much slack. He's not delivered consistently, and I think he's failing on the big occasion. Team-wise, he is lucky that he got one of the greatest team in his era, and everybody is performing based on his standard. And one thing is that his standard is very, very high. Like the way you play under him or with him, it has to be like A plus, like international. You have the best of the best, and maybe that's why one of the reason he is still doing it. Yeah, performing the result wise on the paper, yeah, absolutely right. Like the key crucial moments of semifinals and finals, that's when he's losing in the
That's when
international.
captains stand up, right? That's when Rohit Sharma will make a change and something good will happen, right? That's when Kohli will, I don't know. I just don't want him to be captain of my country anymore. As a player,
Mhm.
he's the best around across all three formats. I think. I mean, there is no competition.
Right, coming back to RCB, right? I agree. He is a loose thread among RCB as a team. Like individually, each player is like one of the best. Like you got great batting side.
Do you think so? I don't know. I don't know if RCB is that strong. I mean, you got ABD and Virat, great, right? But then in the bowling department, even when, like, for example, they had like very experienced players like Stain. When Stain played, Stain got absolutely destroyed to all
Correct.
parts of the ground, right?
And that's what I was coming to, right? I think he doesn't know how to use the
Yeah.
bowlers, and
And
that's
Chahal,
where
they have Chahal. Chahal did really well, right? He's been consistent for many years.
I think Chahal delivered this year. I forgot one more bowler name. They one more spinner who did deliver a lot this year,
Navdeep
but
Saini is a good bowler.
Navdeep
Like,
Saini, yeah.
the thing is, I think he has good resources around him. Mohammad Siraj, I mean, I suppose he performed as well, but it's just disappointing. Like, you can look, there is an element of luck to winning stuff, right?
Hmm.
But 8 years as a captain,
Yeah.
that's it. That shows that there's something wrong. That's not luck at that point. That's just incapacity to do your job.
I think he needs to step up and say, yeah, I'm not been delivering for a while. Let me just focus on my batting. I think Sachin
Yeah,
did it when he was captain,
Sachin
right?
did it. Yeah,
Yeah.
but
Okay.
Sachin was humble. Sachin did not like to be center of attention. Virat does like to be center of attention.
Well, Sachin likes to be center of attraction, but he knows where to stop, and I think he knows what his priorities are. But I think IPL is a cash game, right? Not only
Right.
being the best. I think this is the time for every player, specifically, right? Virat Kohli, his main source of income does come during IPL
Sponsorship.
times, right?
Yeah.
All these sponsorship. So obviously that kind of monetary interest might be there, and I'm not saying it is there. And if somebody draws a pie chart of his income source, major chunk would be that during IPO, that's when he makes a lot of money.
Yeah. I have a question for you guys. Is it selfish of Virat Kohli to still want to be ODI and T20 captain?
Hmm, maybe. I think so,
Yes. Next
yes.
question.
Yeah, maybe he
Okay.
is selfish and or maybe if I want to give him a little bit, like he believes in himself too much and he thinks that he can
Yeah.
turn around. Um,
Arrogance at that point.
I think as a non-Indian fan, the best captain in the world in white ball cricket is Owen Morgan. It's not really, perhaps Rohit can give him a run for his money, but Owen Morgan, if we compare captaincy styles, I have never seen Owen Morgan lose his rag.
Right.
We could be getting pummeled, and Owen will remain calm.
But that's one perspective, right? That's admiring coolness as a cap quality.
Well, my point is this: if the team is struggling, Morgan will either pull a masterstroke or he'll go out to bat and perform. Whilst this year, Virat, he averaged 40, which sounds
Yep.
great, but he struck at 121, which you struggle to justify your
Right.
place in the team
Yeah.
with a strike
Captain.
rate of 121, let alone scream at your bowlers and come across very negatively.
I think in India, India side, like when Virat is playing, he gets support from Rohit. Like he gets his inside
Yeah.
ideas from Rohit and probably KL Rahul. He's also a good captain, I would say KL Rahul generally. So he gets those idea and he just like rolls with it. Within RCB, I don't think
They're no
he gets
leaders.
those
I
kind
mean,
of
ABD
support.
is a
I
great
don't
player, but
think,
not a leader, right? Like he's
yeah,
non-captain, so
exactly. Yeah, he's not a great thinker. He cannot provide his input during fielding side. He can like destroy everybody while playing. He can do great fielding or keeping, but when to play, when to change bowling, those kind of insight, the reading of the game, as they say, doesn't happen with Virat Kohli, and I don't think anybody in RCP team has somebody. And that's where they lose it, right? When they bowl it, the other team's
Yeah,
batting team
yeah.
just
Take
capitalize on that.
advantage.
There are very rare
Yeah.
days when
So let me
um,
read what Gambir said on
they
Kohli. This was posted on our credit. This is a very good take. I know Gambir and Kohli don't like each other, but he's the first Indian player
yeah
or Indian person I've seen call him out on this, right? He says, I will change the RCB captain. Tell me any other captain who would have continued after 8 years. The captain needs to be accountable. Nothing against Kohli, but he needs to take responsibility. If you take credit, you should take criticism as well. And like something that really annoys me about Kohli is that when he loses, when he speaks to the press, he's like tries to smile and like, "Well, we'll be better next time." I'd rather just him be upset. Just take the criticism, and you know what? This is a results game. I'm just fed up of seeing RCB lose again and again. And over the years, this year their team might not have been the strongest, but over the years they've had some incredible teams. Like the one that stands out to me was with Gale, KL Rahul, Mitchell Stark. Like that team could have won in any IPL year. They were that good, but they just failed, right? So,
yeah.
yeah, I'm very upset. Go away,
There,
Kohli. Leave the captaincy. Stop being arrogant and think about your country and your team. And yeah, sad.
I like it. This is spicy. We're getting some serious hate on this podcast.
Yeah, I want the best for my team and my country, and I don't even like us. I used to love RCB as a child. Well, when in like 2012,
child.
2011, like when RCB had Chris Gale, KL Rahul, AB de Villiers, Virat Kohli, Mitchell Stark, that team was phenomenal. Like that team was incredible, right? But
You were a child at that time. Come on,
I
man.
was
Is that
six,
another way?
17,
Is that
17. I
another
don't
way
know.
to make me feel old?
No, that team was amazing, and like I remember watching it on like ITV4 and stuff. It was available to everyone, and that team, like, yeah, had some serious, serious stuff to it. But anyway,
Also, it's also debatable how much Virat's input on squad building is because he's such an
he's
influential
very
person in
influential.
India. The team build is horrible. You know, Aaron Finch, he's a great T20 player. He's an excellent captain. Don't get me wrong, but he's never performed really in
Yeah,
the
never
IPL.
performed.
Yeah, he's your go-to opener. It's like okay,
Yeah,
and then if you get AB out, you probably are going to win the game quite quickly because no one after AB can really hold a bat.
yeah.
Yeah.
What
You know,
Chris Morris?
whilst like Moeen guy has fallen off a cliff, and yet he was batting five,
Yep.
or when he
They
played.
just ran out of options,
Um,
right? They just they had to try something.
well, I know, but you sit there and be like, surely if you're captain for 8 years, you should be able to put a coherent squad
Right,
together.
right.
You would think.
Have a good spine of the team. He's just kept ABD. Letting Chris Gale go was a mistake. I don't know if was Mitchell Stark playing this year. I don't even know. I don't even know which team he's playing.
Stark wasn't
No,
no.
Yeah,
Stark
Stark was
doesn't
it.
play
Yeah.
IPL.
but sad to see that this is a state. And let me put it this way: any organization that fails that much, changes are made, right? Because it's a disgrace to stakeholders and shareholders. It should be the same. It should be the same. But Kohli's brand is so valuable that imagine having him in your team and not being captain. It just almost doesn't feel right. But logically, he shouldn't be captain.
Well, RCB, I think they probably are not in the business of playing cricket. I think they're business of selling these
the
valuable
brand.
players, like for
Yeah.
advertisement. I remember
Mm,
when they bought Yuvraj Singh, right?
right.
One of the statement was his marketing value is still valuable, and they spent so much money on him, and then they were
Right.
trying to milk that out. Maybe
Yeah.
that's the thing. That's what's
And
happening. Like
another
if
thing, Wicketkeeper, and another thing is that like Virat Kohli, I think a few years ago, he dedicated his future IPL career to the RCB. Right, he said to them, "I'm not going to
Mhm.
play for any other franchise." Right, so if he's giving you that much loyalty, and we all know that loyalty is so much financially, just because of all
Right.
the things that come with it, maybe that's the reason why they're like, we have to keep him captain because he's already dedicated his future to us. How bad would it look if the best player in the world did this to us, like whatever.
There's a horrible symmetry with a CSK and
Yeah,
Dhoni. It's a
yeah.
horrible symmetry.
Yeah, I think so. That's exactly what it is.
The thing is, the CSK have won. The CSK have actually won stuff, right? They've been an incredible team over the years. But yeah, you're right. There is too much in common with Dhoni, but like it's so much worse than the CSK because Dhoni was actually able to allow them to win a couple of years ago, right? So sad case.
Well, I mean, DSK is consistent. Like they're making playoff
Yeah,
except this year,
exactly.
right? Every year, either if they're not winning, but they're either top
Hmm.
two or three. Like they're not even fourth team for all
Yeah,
these years. So still, they're giving them that good cricket. Their fans, their fans are following it. They're following them for the great cricket that CSK was playing till now. And that's what maybe you're right. I think Angular is that they're just following CSK but not delivering. Like so, they're using the same formula with the wrong inputs.
yeah. And now it's come to the point where it's clear for everyone that Dhoni is like Muhammad Ali after everything happened to him. You know, like we've seen enough, right? He did great things, leave on a high, leave when you're wanted, but he's continuing for maybe egotistical reasons, maybe for financial reasons. He's cashing in, right?
Yeah, I think he's just cashing in. I think this wow, the thing maybe if IPL was in India, the results would have been pretty much similar as what were. I think for all these old like Daddy's Army, it was the UAE's heat was too much. I've seen like Dhoni struggling to run, but I think they did not adapt it. They always thought like,
He looks like he's been in prison for 50 years. Tony does. He looks so stressed and upset. It's actually worrying to see. And it's kind of worrying that their best player this year was Sam Curran. That's
yeah,
strange.
yeah. I think well maybe it's the bio bubble,
On Twitter,
you know?
his Sam Curran's nickname is MTH, which gives me a smile every time. Make things happen.
Really?
Yeah, MTH.
I mean, I look at Sam Curran and I don't see an outstanding cricketer. I just see someone who's up for the fight and gives you everything he has, right? But that's good enough to be CSK's
Yeah.
best player, right? So it is what it is. Okay. Enough ranting about the IPL. Just a final remark. Kohli, please, if you're listening to this, I know like 50 people listen to this, but if you're one of them, which you're not, just resign as captain. Thank you very much. Anyway, Mr. Wicketkeeper brought up a really good point about the COVID bubbles, and that's actually a really good segue to our next topic. And we're going to talk about that now. So I think, Mr. Lettuce, do you want to take it away?
There's a lot of discussion online in articles in media generally about the difficulties of the COVID quarantine bubbles. Jofra Archer has come out and said how much he's struggling and how he's not sure he can keep going and going and going in the bubbles, and that's kind of reflected in England's squad makeup for the South Africa tour, with many key players in the ODI squad being rested after the IPL, like Ben Stokes and Sam Curran, Jofra himself. And then there's, Jason Holder's been quoted on it. Pakistani players have come out about it. Yeah, it's just really what you guys' thoughts on these.
Pakistani, it's actually quite funny. According to Miss Balhak, Pakistani players can survive in bio bubbles. Not sure about Western cricketers. What an interesting
Well,
take.
I was trying to avoid the topic, but yes, questionable comments that if the ball's on the other foot would probably be pointed to as racist.
Right.
So
I'm not.
very questionable.
Yeah, and I think one of the posts posted by UGL4389 about biobubble mentally tough. It's even like Saurav Ganguly acknowledged that it's like in IPL it was not an easy thing. So it is tough thing. Like when you're asked to perform at the peak level and the people who has managed to keep their mental health fit or like all these struggles when you're a teenager you want to become an international cricket star in any country. I think the people who had the best mental strength were the people who pulled out. So and everybody of those kind of folks are questioning biobubble. It's like it could be very demanding and demeaning. And I don't know what kind of challenges are. Like nobody have, or maybe I missed it, that what exactly is biobubble? Like what are the restrictions? What do they have to do? I don't have any insight of that why is everybody not liking it?
I mean, the restriction right now, well, in the UK anyway, is that we have a national lockdown. So I don't necessarily see how a bio bubble can be much worse than a national lockdown unless their families aren't involved, right? If their families are involved, then fair enough. That makes complete sense to me.
In the summer, they weren't allowed to see their family.
Right. But then that's obviously a huge struggle, right? Because that's something that we probably take for granted. But we can't do any socializing whatsoever. No one in the UK can do any socializing. We cannot do any house to house meetups or anything. So the only people you're living with are the people you're going to stay there with. So in the bubble, they're going to have a massive cricket fraternity with all the teams, which I don't know, dude. Maybe they're just feeling very distanced from the real world. But perhaps is this maybe this is bold for me to say, are they being a bit self-centered, not realizing that the whole world is going through some sort of massive challenge with this, and it's not just cricketers?
Well, I think it's cricket is like physically and mentally demanding thing, right? Like it's like everybody's expecting you to perform at their peak even before COVID time. It's to everybody. Like it's not just cricket. Everybody is facing the same challenges. I agree what you're saying, Ram. But by default, cricket, when like millions of people are watching you to perform every day, and that's the thing that's always back of your mind. And if I don't perform today, maybe I will lose my livelihood. You're going to your stage with that, and you're just being told, don't leave your room or your hotel area, general area, or
Right, I
interact with
see.
only
Yeah.
these set of 15 or 20 players or people. And out of that, you might not like half of them. Like your frequency doesn't match with some of them. It's quite natural. And I felt like that's what it could be challenging. There are people who doesn't like to be caged, and there are people who want to be okay. I can perform on only these certain parameters. If I get these are my way to went out, right? Like I need to go out and run if I'm playing a game. I need to be able to step out to free up my mind. I know Suresh Raina, like I think he went there, he spent some time for a couple of days, and then he left. He didn't play cricket for and it was not that he was not mentally up for it. I think he's been a great player for so long, and then after that you see him, he's just roaming all over the country during COVID times, which is like which doesn't make any sense to me. Like you're doing exactly what you're not supposed to do, but it's hard. I would say it's hard.
But I get it. It's very tough. No one's denying it's very tough, right? But a lot of people are like that. Maybe it's the fact that, even in lockdown, people can go out to work, right? You can see other people in the workplace and stuff. I don't know. I feel like they don't get too much time at home. That's probably the main thing, right? Because as a cricketer, you're out and about, and especially if you're playing in the IPL, I don't know if their families came with them. Some did, right? So if you're away from your family for so long, that can be very challenging, right? It's very natural to feel like that. But before they could go home and look forward to spending time with their families, but maybe now that they have to go home and self-isolate for 2 weeks, and that probably is very challenging, right? So
Yeah, I think that is another challenging part, right? I see posts like Instagram posts where David Warner and Steve Smith, like they're stuck in like quarantine. They're doing self quarantine, and everybody who went from IPL to Australia too, like all the Australian and Indian players, they were like stuck in a room for 14 days, and you cannot do it. And I think hotel rooms again are not very huge where you can roam around. There's a huge bed, and then you can just circle around it. What else you gonna do?
right,
You
yeah.
need some time off. I would be going, I would
Mm.
go crazy.
It is. It's not pleasant. I agree with you, but at the same time, right? How happy are we to have cricket back? How happy are we to have football back? It's they are making a sacrifice. They're getting paid a shit ton of money to do it. No one's putting a gun to their head and making them do it, right? So outside of
Right.
you, I'm very happy that it's cricket's back. They're earning a lot of money. No one's forcing them to do it. They're living the dream as well. It's tough, but it's a sacrifice.
But see, it is tough. It is sacrifice, but it doesn't need to be too long, right? I see one more post posted by you, Meekist, about Fine Morgan and Jason Holder. They're talking about like bubble to bubble cricket isn't sustainable, and I kind of agree with it, right? You're trying to mentally fatigue yourself from one series, and then you go to a self quarantine phase, and then you start playing cricket, which is another like a different version of self quarantine. Like you're asked to do things within the parameters. Okay, you cannot go beyond this line. Okay, physically, you cannot go out and all do anything. There's a lot of restrictions, and then you still have to perform at the peak. As a general person who's not playing cricket, who's not performing, the COVID restriction did put some like challenges to my mental health as well. But it was fine for me. At least I was able to wear a mask and go out. I can go out for a grocery. I can go out in a car and take a long drive and come back. Like wherever, keep myself distant with everybody, have it socially safe. But at least I had that option. Now imagine somebody who has to perform at
Yeah.
that level, like international stage, and you've been told for next
Hmm.
6 months this is what gonna life's gonna be. So
Yeah, so then taking breaks is acceptable. So I think the core crux would be is that does that damage their position in the side? Now, I think I was watching on the IPL show with Nasser Hussain and Tom Curran, Sam Curran, and Rob Key. They said that it wouldn't, but it will, right? So imagine if you're not there and someone performs outstandingly well, it will impact your place in the side, right? There's no two ways about it. You don't want to wish anyone bad, but be practical, right?
yeah, I think for folks who are struggling, obviously a lot of folks do not have that option of saying no. Yeah, I'm not playing. I think you're right. I mean, Sam Curran's and like the Curran brothers, these are young kids, right? These folks still have opportunity to play for Australia, play for BBL, to showcase their talent. But folks who are just playing IPL or like they're the later stage and who doesn't get picked up for sides
Mm.
very often, like Dinesh Karthik. Maybe he had like, okay, if I don't play for IPL, maybe I won't be able to retain my spot in
Yeah,
next IPL. Like
yeah.
if I take what
So there's
Suresh Raina
pressure. The
did, like
pressure is there, and like, yeah, yeah,
Pollard's, right? Pollard is playing only
yeah.
IPL now,
Understood.
right? So for these guys, it's always like, okay, this is the only
Yeah,
option I have to make whatever money for my
yeah,
future, right? What about Umesh Yadav?
I think there's a balance to be struck between feeling, I think we've got to respect if people are struggling mental health wise. It's good that people are open and honest about it, but I think there probably needs to be a degree of balance to the discussion. Yes, it's
yeah,
difficult, but everyone's got at least restrictions on their life. So I think balance needs to be struck. The guys I feel most sorry for are people who go in these bio bubbles. Like in the England summer, Joe Denley was dropped after the very first test of the year.
Yeah,
Spent the entire summer in the bio bubble bouncing between red ball and white ball squads, and then didn't play for England until the
right.
very last game of the summer. So he'd spent an entire summer in the bio bubble
I agree.
and played twice. Well, that must be horrendous. Or there's guys who are in the test bubble like Jack Leach and Ben Folkes who spent 3 months in the 2 months in the bubble and didn't play once. That must be. I can understand it being difficult, but if you're playing, at least you feel like you're there for a reason.
Yeah,
Being there as a
I'm
sub
with
must
you.
be a demoralising. And actually, I've just looked at Joe Denley was flown out by Multan Sultans in the PSL, which is going on currently, and he's on the bench again. So
Is he
again, he's
is he
another
just
two
is he just
games
a
in
really
the bubble,
good gun
in a bubble.
sub
This one
fielder?
abroad, and he's
Is that what he's been used as basically, or it's just unfortunate? It's a shit situation,
Hmm.
right?
no. I think yeah, it's just unfortunate. Yeah,
Yeah,
personal circumstance. But yeah, you said them these. I think being a sub in these bio bubbles, not actually playing, not
demoralize
actually
you.
doing what you're meant to be there for. That I
Yeah,
would imagine that
yeah,
being
I'm with
very.
you.
I can imagine
100%
that being
agreed.
quite tough.
We have sympathy from the sounds. We have all have sympathy for the cricketers, right? But the world is in a tough situation right now, so we have to be
Yeah.
practical. And you know what? The money that they get is a very nice compensation for the pain that they're going through. Obviously, mental health is very important. And if they do feel like it's there, they just be honest with
Mhm.
themselves and their board and take a step back because it's the most important thing. Yeah, very tough indeed for sub players people who don't have a shoe in. So that's probably the most important take, I think, is that people who are established in their sides, they can afford to do that, right? But others can't. So that's that. Should we move on to the next topic? The final topic this week is the India Australia series. You guys looking forward to that?
I am. At least for India, it's going to be first international cricket after a long time. So looking forward for it. But again, like what we're talking about bio bubble, let's see how does it impact as touring team. They would be facing a different kind of challenges this time. Obviously, Kohli decided to take a parental leave, which I totally agree with him. It's very important thing for your child. And
Can I just jump in on this topic? If you're one of the morons on Twitter, Facebook, whatever, saying that Coley's a terrible person to go and watch and be there for the birth of their child, I generally think you should have a look in the mirror and delete the internet. Like,
Mhm.
like get out of it. It's child is way more important
absolutely.
than
Yep.
some match against Australia. Like, get out. If you're on the online to slag off Coley, fair play, join the club. But if you're online to slag him off about trying to be a good parent, I'm sorry, you're a terrible person.
I also agree. Like as a father, I wouldn't miss anything. I wouldn't miss anything for birth of my child. Like somebody told when we were expecting my first child, somebody told me your first child is only once. So that is a different feeling. That is a different kind of emotions that
Yeah.
runs through you. And I don't think he should be replacing. And nobody should compare him with Dhoni.
I mean, the thing is, even if he was playing, right? How on earth could his mind be focused on the cricket? Like it's dumb from both perspectives. One, he should be there as a
Hmm.
person. Two, I would not want my international cricket captain to be thinking about the birth of his child, which is every single human being would do. It's impossible not to think about that, right? So
And then I think, and all these people, I mean, I'm sure these guys are like 16, 17, who doesn't know anything about parent, but anybody who has a child or who's old enough, I'm sure will definitely bitch about it when they don't get their own parental leave.
so I have a question. What is the comparison with Tony? That is something
So
I've not come
basically, I think
across.
what happened was when I think it was 2015 World Cup, Dhoni had his daughter born during that time, and somebody in media, I think in press conference, asked him, "Are you not going to see your child being born or like being with your wife?" And he commented that I'm on a national duty, so I'll play cricket first. And I think that's what people are trying to compare it. I think one of the I mean everybody admired Dhoni's dedication on that yes, making sure that what he's doing is it's important and he's ready to sacrifice it. Nobody complained about it, right? I mean, everybody admired it. But comparing Kohli and Dhoni on the same thing, it's different. And I think it was Cricket World Cup and he was captain, Dhoni was captain. This is one of the series, probably annual series or every 2 years we have an India-Australia series in Australia. So I'm
Yeah.
sure he can miss one series to become a parent.
I mean, I'm with you 100%. There's no question of a doubt. He should definitely be at home with the family to do it. It's just unfortunate timing for cricket fans. I think no one should hold a grudge against him. But let me just read out something which I found on one of the posts. Here's some updates for India's tour of Australia. For those of you who aren't aware, Kohli will be heading home after the first test in Adelaide. Completely fine. Now, this is something very interesting. According to this post, Rohit Sharma, the medical team has been monitoring Rohit Sharma's fitness and has briefed All India Senior Selection Committee on the same. In consultation with Mr. Sharma, it has been decided to rest him for the ODIs and T20s in Australia to regain full fitness. But he has been included in India's test squad. That to me is mind-boggling. That's where we need him most. I don't want him to play in the test side. Anyway, Sanju Samson. The selection committee has added Sanju Samson as an additional wicketkeeper. Good choice. Maybe I'd have gone for Ishan Kishan, but whatever, fair enough. Ishant Sharma. The senior fast bowler has been undergoing his rehab at the national cricket in Bangalore. Once he fully recovers and gains sufficient mat fitness, he will be added to India's test squad. Mr. Varun Chakravarti, the very good IPL sensation this year. The spinner has been ruled out of the T20 series ongoing to an ongoing shoulder injury. The selectors have named Natrajan as a replacement. Also had a very good IPL. Nagakoti, very young, under 19, was an under 19 World Cup winner. Really like him. Young fast bowler will not be able to travel to Australia as he's still working with the medical team on bowling workload management. But yeah, anyway, some other big news is that Rohit Sharma won't be playing in the ODIs and the T20s, if this is to be believed, which is that is that is so
Can I
bad,
add a
so bad.
conspiracy theory to that? Is this like
Go ahead.
Kohli's way of making sure Rohit doesn't captain during that time. And if he performs
Ah,
well, everybody will get more fuel to make sure that Rohit becomes the permanent captain.
hmm.
Maybe, I don't know. But yeah, I'm surprised. And I think uh, Rohit has been giving indication, like when initially the squad was announced, and he's fine. I think he played, he practiced, and like,
He says he's fine,
yeah,
right? But according to this, like he's not fine, which I'm sure I would take a 70% fit Rohit Sharma personally, as long as there's a risk for further injury. But I don't know if that's to be believed. But sad, some key players missing. I don't know if I hope Ishant will be ready in time because he's bowled so well over his resurgence in like Test cricket has to be an incredible story. Like he's just come out of nowhere and been incredible.
he's pretty good against Australia in Australia. I think that's when he shines the most. Like I think Ricky Ponting, like making Ricky Ponting a bunny, it's a huge feat, right?
Yeah.
And I think he's troubling Steve Smith in similar ways. Like whenever last test we had in Australia, I don't remember, but I vaguely remember that he was one of the bowler who was troubling Steve Smith, which is going to be important for India to like make sure they calm down Steve Smith because Steve Smith did not have a good T20 like IPL. I'm sure he won't went it out.
Yep. But then again, he's not a good ODI. He's a good player. He's not a great ODI T20 player, right? This is where he will stand up, and this is where I'm worried.
Yeah,
I think angry Steve Smith. You can have fun with playing him in Australia.
Right.
I'm glad it's not England going to
Mm,
Australia. That's all I'm just
yeah.
going to say. I'm
yeah,
sick. I'm sick of the sight of the man.
I understand, and
When averaging 160, whatever he did in the last Ashes, I am sick of the sight of him.
I can imagine it's going to be brutal. And yeah, so we don't have
Okay,
much
I think
time left,
I think
but
it's going to be ugly.
you think it's going to be ugly? Okay, so I was going to ask you, what do you think is going to happen this Test
Yeah, I
series?
think the Test series. I think you'd be looking at a whitewash for Australia. I think.
Whitewash for
Whitewash.
Australia. That's such a bold claim. Wow.
It's not. It's not. Well, you don't have your best batsman. Pujara's done nothing in 2 years.
But Pujara does
Right?
everything in
Who's
Australia, dude.
Yeah.
Like he's incredible in Australia.
okay? So who else is batting for? Who else is going to make these runs?
Okay, so Rahane will do well, not
Yeah.
great because that's what Rahane does.
Yeah.
I don't know the open. I think Shubman Gill will open. Shubman Gill is, in my opinion, the best player in the world in the making. That's my humble opinion, but you know what? He's very young. Bowling wise, we're stronger than ever, right? Like our bowlers out bowled Australia's bowlers last time round, so there is no reason why we can't give them a challenge in every single game. Now, the only additional thing is that we have David Warner and Steve Smith to deal with. No big deal, right?
I think Steve Smith averages 70, doesn't he, in Australia, and David Warner averages 65.
Yeah, but then again, like these are world class bowlers. Bumrah, Shami, Ashwin is bowling really well. I think he's bowling well personally. He was bowling well in the IPL. He didn't get many wickets, but he's fitter than ever. Well, he looks really fit. I think that this team is a good team going to there. I don't expect us to win the series, by the way. 2-1. I think
I
2-1
think
to
I,
Australia.
I, I think I genuinely think you're going to get battered.
Hmm.
I think angry Steve Smith's going to come out and hit 3 double centuries, and you're going to sit there and be like, well,
Well, I kind of
I don't know.
agree that it's going to be.
that's my spicy
I
take on the matter.
agree with Angela that it's going to be very tough, very tough for India to win this series because not only Steve Smith, think of Shane, man. He is another Steve Smith in making if he consistently does what he's been doing when Steve Smith and David Warner
Yeah,
were
but
out.
you're also forgetting we have Mayank Agarwal, dude. He's done incredible recently. Vihari has done really good. Rishabh Pant did really well last time round.
There's talk of this Will Pukolski coming into the squad. He's currently averaging 200 and I think it was 230. He's currently averaging this for the season. So
I've not heard of him, but yeah.
yeah, so yeah, he's averaging something silly, and then there's Cameron Green who's being penciled in at number 6, who's averaging over 50, and then there's Travis Head as well in the middle order.
Darren Travis
There is no way that the Indians are going to outbat Australia in Australia this time round. And Josh Hazlewood is better than he was last time. Mitchell Stark is just as good as ever.
Is he though? Mitchell Stark's getting
nah.
old, man. He's getting. Let me check how old he. I hope he's getting old.
Yeah, no, Mitchell Stark is the key, man. I mean, if India outplays him, then India will have a little bit of hope.
Mitchell Stark is 30.
Yeah, he's not that old. I take it back. Okay. He's a bit older than me, but that's fine.
Yeah.
Look, I have faith. Mayank Agarwal, right, and Shubman Gill open the batting. That will probably be a solid opening partnership. Number 3, Pujara. Now you're saying Pujara won't do well. I think Pujara in Australia is one serious player. And given the last series that he had there, I don't know how you can disagree with that, Mr. Lettuce.
He's not done exactly well abroad since, has he?
Abroad, he's had there's not been that much cricket in between, has there?
Didn't New Zealand he averaged 6, didn't he? Or was it 12?
We played 2 tests in New Zealand.
Yeah.
That is not a sample size.
Annihilated there. You got annihilated.
We did not get annihilated. We lost barely in the second test, if I recall. That was a close. Wait,
a 21-year-old showed you up. Anyway.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Pujara might do it, but
well, so I think comparing the last series for India, like when Australia were literally in the midst of Sandpaper Gate, it's not right. I think Australia's moved on, and I think they've come back to their peak right now. Obviously, they're
peak.
I mean, not peak, but it's still it's much better than. It's much better than what
2018.
Yeah, what last time was, right? When everybody was like beating Australia left and right. I think.
But the thing is, our bowling attack is seriously good. I mean, how could you even is an incredible bowling attack? And I've not said this about Indian cricket before, but any team in the world would struggle playing against it and doing well. And our batting, I think, is consistent because, let's say, for example, we've got Pujara.
But you don't have Kohli, though.
We'll have Kohli for one test. If we win that first test, I think it goes well, right? Also, you're also forgetting the fact I think Shubman Gill's going to be the man of the series. I hope he gets. If he doesn't get to play, I'm going to cry. I'm going to make a really salty Reddit post of why isn't Shubman Gill playing. But yes.
I think it's going to be tough for India to win the way they did last time, but definitely not whitewash. I'm pretty sure they will. They will steal at least one of the tests, but it's going to be very tough compared to last time for sure.
Lettuce is just upset because England will get steamrolled and India won't get steamrolled when we go there.
I just expect to get battered by the Aussies, so it's fine.
But look, our bowling attack: Bumrah, Shami, and Yadav, dude. And Ashwin as a spinner, it's a serious bowling attack. You can win any test match.
But Australia is the cemetery for spinners, so Ashwin's largely taken out of the equation.
Fair enough.
And then you've got Warner, Marnus, Steve Smith. If each of them average 60, which they currently do, or more, you don't have a hope.
But I don't think they will average. They won't average 60.
This is angry Lettuce signing off.
Yeah, but then they won't be.
I have slagged off Virat Kohli. I have slagged off the Indian cricket team. I feel like my life's in danger.
They won't be facing a rundown England attack on an Australian wicket. You know what I mean? What was it then? When was the last Ashes? Was it 2017 in Australia?
Yes, Tom Curran had a little run out in that.
Yeah,
series.
and how was Mo and Ali? I mean, can you compare them? Can you compare? Mo and Ali was averaging 100 with the ball or something ridiculous. Tom Curran got smashed.
Got a fun fact about Moeen for the year. Moeen Ali in ODIs is averaging 216 with the ball.
Wow.
Whilst Tom Curran in ODI cricket is averaging, I think it's 240 for the year.
Wow.
In ODIs. Yeah, there's some fun facts.
2020.
Spicy facts.
There we go, dude.
I'm balanced. I slag off everyone.
You can't offend it. It's not offensive when you offend everyone. I see how it is. But you can't compare that England team that went in, I don't know, was it 2017 or 2018? I don't remember.
Yeah, 2017, 2018.
And that series, right? it was pathetic, right? That team was awful. Yeah, Jimmy Anderson. Was Cook retired then? I don't even think Cook was retired then, was he?
No, Cook was all right. Cook was, I think,
Yeah,
best batsman
Cook
possible.
scored a double hundred, didn't he? And that was the test that you guys drew because it was like a batting paradise. But yeah, that bowling attack was awful. You only had Jimmy, and I don't know if Broad was. I think Broad didn't do well. This attack has done well in Australia. They have faith in themselves, and I believe that with this attack, if there's good leadership, I believe we'll do well. That's my opinion. Well, thank you for listening. Thank you to everyone apart from Angry Lettuce for his horrible opinions on the Indian cricket team in Australia. We guys really appreciate you for listening. It's been a pleasure, but no, seriously, thank you very much to Mr. Wicketkeeper and Angry Lettuce for doing this episode. Let us know how stupid we are with our takes, and fight us with your statistics in the comments. Please join our Discord, and as always, let us know if we can do anything. And if you want to come on the show and you have a spicy opinion, let us know as well. We'd love to have you. So I'll hand over to Mr. Wicketkeeper, and then Mr. Lettuce will sign
Yep,
off.
thank you everybody. It's to those one or twos who would be listening this again. Hopefully, a lot more of you will listen, and this time,
Lots of people will listen, Wicketkeeper. I think there will be loads of people
yeah,
listening.
I
I don't know
hope
why
that.
not.
I hope that as well. But thanks for the people who had been supporting us by listening and providing their opinion in past. And this one is all for you, and we would be trying to make sure that we don't miss it again. So hopefully season 2 comes back and it becomes much more stronger than what we had in the past.
Yeah, I think that's it from all of us. We've been the Innings Break Podcast, and stay safe and see you in the next one.
Take care, guys.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Bye.